Hi, everyone. How's it going? This is Attorney Mamita Rahman. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is a very special broadcast because we got a tremendous decision from the Supreme Court of the United States today regarding DACA. DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and it's been significant. It's a program that was instituted by the Obama administration, and through this, almost 700,000 persons who were brought to the U.S. as a child have been able to obtain work authorization plus get deferment of removal actions. And as we know, over the past few years, immigration has been suffering extreme attacks by this government, and many rights have been taken away, attempted to be taken away. Among them is DACA. And almost as soon as President Trump came into office, he said that DACA was illegal and it was going to end. And this brought about a great flurry of action. Among them, states sued, and the decision, a case did go up to the Supreme Court, and finally a decision has been released today. And what I wanted to do today is just, first of all, let everybody know that DACA still lives. The program is not been found to be illegal by the Supreme Court. However, they did say that decision, whether DACA is illegal or not, is actually something to be determined by the administration. So that's something that's very worrisome. But for the time being, right now, the program has not been struck down. And I want to decipher a little bit of the decision that I read so far today. I want to give you just a warning that I did not have time to read this decision very closely, but from what I've been able to read and understand, I wanted to share with you, especially for those of you who are curious about what the Supreme Court did actually say. And I think it's very important to note that the Supreme Court decided this case on a very, very narrow basis, as it always does. The Supreme Court will always focus on very technical applications of law. And what I want to tell you is what was this case? So basically, when the government said that DACA was illegal and that it would be ending, they wanted to rescind all of DACA. It is without dispute, the Supreme Court has said that all the parties agree that DHS has authorization to end DACA. They're the ones who started it. They're the ones that can take it away. So that's not what was at issue. The legality of DACA was not in play, which is disheartening for many of us. But instead, what was at play in this case was the manner through which DHS can take this away. So this case really rested upon the Administrative Procedures Act, the APA, and the APA sets forth the procedures by which federal agencies are accountable to the public and their actions, subject to review by the courts. And it requires the agencies to engage in reasoned decision-making, especially when they decide to enforce or not enforce certain laws. And whether certain actions by an agency such as DHS is reviewable by the Supreme Court actually depends on what kind of an action it is. And the very narrow focus of this was whether DACA constituted an enforcement action or a non-enforcement action. So let me give you an example. An enforcement action by an agency might be whether they choose to punish you for something. And then they decide, let's say that the agency has the power to punish you for something, but then they decide not to do that. And that would be considered an enforcement action. And if they choose to not enforce it, then it would be considered non-enforcement. But what the Supreme Court did find is that the DACA memorandum does not announce a passive non-enforcement policy. It actually created a program for conferring affirmative immigration relief. And this is extremely important because DACA actually created a program through which persons were able to get employment authorization and apply for other benefits such as Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid. It is not passive. And because it is more than a non-enforcement policy, the rescission of DACA is subject to review by the APA. Thus, the Supreme Court does say that If DHS does want to take away DACA, then the Supreme Court has the power to review this decision. But then again, the Supreme Court does still go on to say that whether DACA is illegal, of course, is a legal determination and therefore a question for the Attorney General. So what does all of this mean? Well, first of all, I think all of us can breathe a sigh of relief, especially those of us who have loved ones who have received DACA, or who, or you yourself have already received DACA, and you're a part of this country, you're a part of this economy, and you're worried about what's going to happen to you. So you can rest easy. You are home. You are not going anywhere. There is no enforcement action against you. But the main question that people want to know is, can new applications be filed? Over the past couple of years, what has happened is new DACA applications were not permitted to be filed. Instead, those who already had DACA were allowed to keep filing for renewals. And this is one thing, unfortunately, that I cannot answer for you today. I can't tell you from the decision whether new applications and initial applications will be accepted. So that's something that remains to be unseen. My feeling is that this government is going to try to attack DACA again. So come November, if President Trump is elected again, I definitely expect to see another attack on DACA. So hopefully, though, we will be able to apply for new applications. And another hope of mine is that persons will be allowed to request advance parole for DACA. Advance parole is really important. If you entered the country without permission through the border and you later received DACA, if you were able to obtain a grant of advance parole to leave the country and come back in, then you get that coveted magical stamp in your passport that constitutes an admission to the US. With that admission, you can then apply for a green card if you are married to a US citizen. Otherwise, you have to go through the waiver process, and it's very lengthy and it can be quite difficult. But with advance parole, you would be allowed to seek adjustment of status. And I'm hoping that we will hopefully be allowed to apply for advance parole again. But again, we have this, super restrictive, crazy government right now that is just trying to not allow anything. So I don't expect it to happen, but we'll all go ahead and see what happens. That's it. So I just want to give you a quick update. I'll just take a couple of questions if they're related to DACA. And since I don't see anything, I'm going to sign out. If you need to speak to me regarding your case, you can always reach me at 212-248-7907. With that, I wish everyone luck. Leave me a comment if you have a comment or question about DACA. Leave it here, and I'll see you soon.